Our next guest is working on a new park for downtown Chelsea. We welcome Principal Board Member and Developer Joe Zolkowski from Main Street Park Alliance. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Bart, how you doing?
Good to see you.
It's good to be seen, thank you.
Yeah, and Joe's a Jackson boy. You were born and raised here, and now you're living in Chelsea?
Yep, living in Chelsea, went through Lumen Christi High School, and still get back here a fair amount. Loving the downtown, though, it's looking great.
Yeah, well, thanks. And, I think everybody, 10, 15 years ago, looked at Chelsea and said, oh, man, I wish we had a downtown like that. And well, now we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so great. It's walkable, and the street plans they've done have really made it more accessible for people.
And as much as your downtown looks awesome, there's more things that you want to add. And I think one thing that's really missing has been any kind of a, like a town square or central park.
Yeah, so Chelsea has some wonderful parks, but most of them are on the outskirts of our town, on the edges of it, and they're not exactly walkable. And we have this old brownfield in the heart of Chelsea. It's about 3 acres. It's the old former Federal Screw Works site. And we've been looking at it for 25 years. It's been sitting abandoned in Chelsea. And we got the notion, well, we need more park space, and we have this empty lot here. Why don't we try to make something happen with that?
And it's been torn down, and I'm sure everyone in Jackson is thinking, wow, I'm sure it's contaminated.
Yeah, absolutely. Like many of these old manufacturing sites, they left behind some traces of the work that was done on that site as they were following the practices of the time. And so it has some cutting fluids and things like that in the soil. And many developers came along, tried to develop the site, and they just couldn't get over that hurdle of the contamination.
The contamination?
Yeah. And we were, Main Street Park Alliance, were in the unique position to tap into some of these monies that were available to nonprofits and municipalities to remediate the site. So we were able to get a $1 million EAGLE grant and about a $800,000 Washtenaw County Brownfield grant for the remediation of the site.
Nice. I was reading some of the work that you've done, about some of the work you've done, and you've already dug up and done, the drilling and everything. And it doesn't sound as bad as you would think with a place called Federal Screw Works.
Yeah, absolutely. So the previous owner, or Federal Screw Works, has done some remediation out on site over the years. EAGLE compelled them to do that. And they did receive a no further action on the soil, which means they felt that the soil was fine. We have found, still there's some traces of materials in there, mostly oil, mostly it's depleted. It's been sitting in there for up to 100 years, some of it. And so we're digging that out currently right now as we speak. I mean, drove by there today, and the backhoes and bulldozers were going.
All right, well, let's take a look at what's planned. And
Sure.
you've got a really ambitious timeline.
Yeah, we do. Well, it seems ambitious, but we've been at this since, I think we formed as a nonprofit in 2022 and started talking about this project back in 2020. So we hired a design firm called Veritas out of Kalamazoo. They do a lot of work in Kalamazoo along the waterfront in Grand Rapids, and they're really known for their public process of design work. So they held about a 6+ month public design forum where we held focus groups with disability groups, high schoolers, middle schoolers, senior group, nearby neighbors, and really helped inform this park. And from that, we sort of came up with the images you're seeing on your screen here. We're trying not to duplicate other items that we have in our parks on the outside of town. We're really trying to complement those. So you see this skate park that's on the site right now. Unlike the skate park maybe over in Jackson, over at the old Nixon Pool, and the one in Ann Arbor, that skate park is actually a street course, so it complements those. So skaters who might skate in Jackson will have a different thing over here in Chelsea to skate on. The big thing that we really tried to focus on was the accessibility of this park for our community. Often parks were built and you get to the sidewalk and it's just green space, and if you're in a mobile device, it's really difficult to access that. So the entire park is universally accessible, which is actually higher standards than ADA accessibility.
It's a lot bigger than it looks from the road.
Yes.
That property does take up. Now it's next to the old Palmer Ford
It's about 300 feet from the old Palmer
Okay.
Ford, just a little bit south. So it's still in our downtown development association agency, and it's about the lot's about 3 acres. So it's sort of nestled in that residential neighborhood.
The original plans you were looking at a splash pad.
Correct.
You scratched that.
Yeah, it just became a bridge too far for the city. The cost, the maintenance. We were willing to put it in. It was a very popular item. We heard about it, the disappointment when it was taken out, but it wasn't right for Chelsea. We couldn't put a well in there, and to sort of pump and dump, as a colloquial phrase, Chelsea felt it was not conservative enough or conserving enough for them.
Right. You've got a lot going on as it is.
It is. It's like we call it the everything bagel. So we have a lot of green space in Chelsea. We are fortunate to be surrounded by Pinckney Recreation Area and Waterloo Recreation Area, and our parks are quite green. So we wanted a park that was highly intensive and highly active, that would draw people in and also have items in it that the other parks don't have. So we feel it complements the other parks pretty well.
What about like performance space, concerts?
Performance space, yeah. So we have a pavilion in the park, a pavilion and restroom facilities. I regret
Down on the lower right, is that it?
No, it's right there in the center there. This is a roof angle, so it's the center of that photo there, and it looking south towards that big green. So we call that sort of the community green.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And the little roof over that front of that pavilion would be sort of performance space. And we did have a photo of that, and we nixed it right at the last minute for the show, and I regret that now.
We can imagine.
Yeah. So Chelsea, as you know, is really keen on their festivals and performances, and that was one of the requests from the chambers that they have another performance space there.
So I mentioned $10 million project.
Yeah.
How are you paying for it? Where are you on the fundraising?
Yeah, so we've raised about $6.4 million of that 10 million. So we need about 3.9 to go. I think it's 10.3 is the total what we need. We've raised it through state, county grants, private foundations, private donors. And so that $3.9 million gap, we have a couple grant applications in right now, and we're certainly going to be hustling because we are looking to break ground here in the spring. So we have 6 months to raise that 3.9.
Because you want to open this park next year.
We would love to, yeah.
So how do you fundraise? Are you looking now, or are you like selling bricks, or what's your?
No, not yet. So we haven't really even gone to the Chelsea community individual donations and small donations too much yet. We did initially just to show that there was support for this park, just $3, $5 donations. I think we had something like 250 or 300 small donations, and that was really just to show that the will is there for this park. So we're going after a Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund grant. We have that application is pending now. We'll hear about that in December. We have a Washtenaw County grant coming up that we're going after. That's Parks and Recreation. And there are a couple other foundations out there that we have communicated with and have relationships with that we will be requesting for some assistance from as well.
Cool. I liked how you really went after the kids' opinions. You went to the schools. You had meetings at the middle school and the high school, and you got a lot of response from them, and obviously a lot of features designed for younger people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the problems that we noticed in Chelsea is there's a real lack of opportunity for teens and tweens. And we have these wonderful parks, but they are somewhat geared for younger kids with the typical sort of play structures you might see there. We really wanted to dial into that group because what they're doing right now is typically hanging out in the Washington School parking lot because they have no place else to go. So there's a lot of active space for them, but there's a lot of inactive space for them as well.
Cool. All right. There's all kinds of information. They have a website. And we'll be anxious to follow the progress of Main Street Park.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Joe, thanks for coming in. Good to see you. Joe Zukowski is a principal board member and a developer in Chelsea with Main Street Park